A $300 costume? A $6,000 floor waxer? Filmore! Filmore! Filmore!
Filmore!
Filmore, I'm on it.
Filmore, the show that never got the flowers it deserved. And boy, did it deserve flowers.
Officer Fillmore, do you realize the importance of recovering that catalog of stolen term papers?
Do you realize your mama dresses you like a sofa?
Show creator Scott Gimple, who you might also know as the creator of 2010's The Walking Dead, was really in his bag with this one. Gimple said he was watching The Streets of San Francisco, among other 1970s shows, when he was first writing Filmore. The inspiration comes through in the show's 1970s blaxploitation style, background music, and old school lingo, the expression disco instead of excellent or groovy. I don't know if that's the right time period, huh? He somehow took the concept of a 70s, 80s cop procedural and turned it into one of the coolest and most unique childhood shows ever. And if you're watching this video, then like me, you probably watched Filmore growing up 20 years ago. So reminder, you're old as dirt now. And so if you were watching it, you remember the shows that were on at the time as well. Kim Possible, Proud Family, Recess. Even among all of those shows, Filmore stood apart. It was unique in the animation style as well as its values, tackling some really heavy issues in such a way that it was digestible by kids, but even rewatching as an adult, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Now, let's talk about where the show takes place. X Middle School is a microcosm of the real world. It's got criminals, victims, civilians, police, protesters, interrogations, and even support groups for people traumatized by really hard tests. Crimes range from the mundane, like the vandalism of the school washroom and stealing library books, to the legitimately criminal, like a massive scooter theft ring. And I'm talking they stole over 100 scooters in a day, like we're talking tens of thousands of dollars at least. And the intentional poisoning of animals using restricted chemicals, like criminal stuff that the police should be called. Jail is detention. Randall the Vandal, aka Flavor Saver.
Flavor Saver.
Hannibal Lecter parody character from episode 1 was serving indefinite detention by the athletic field. So he was basically in a room alone. His work was sent into the room with him during the day, and he watched all his classes on a screen inside of there.
Cornelius Fillmore, you have a new partner.
Randall Julian, meet Ingrid Third.
Charmed.
And he was not allowed to have a single writing implement because he's a mass vandalizer. And if you give him even one single pen, not only will he be able to vandalize the entire room, but he can use it to escape.
He's gone! He's gone! Randall Julian has escaped!
Episodes are broken down into 3 acts. Act 1.
Oh shit, here we go again.
Act 2.
Why you always lying? Oh my God, stop you lying.
And Act 3.
Why are you running? Why are you running?
But like seriously, why are they always running? Where are you gonna go? Ma'am, stop it. You go to school here and you're 12. I'll see you tomorrow in class. Now, I want to take this opportunity to point out that though X Middle School is a microcosm of the real world, it's also simultaneously nothing like an actual school or no school that I went to. This doesn't take away from the show at all. It arguably makes it much more entertaining. Even rewatching as a crusty old man, I was laughing out loud often.
Anyone can cream pie somebody.
You're just jealous that I'll get good at it and get really famous and everyone will be like, Antonia who?
Oh, get over yourself.
What did you say, nigga?
Our titular character, Cornelius Fillmore, was running a full-blown criminal empire at the age of 12, including stealing and reselling entire chalk shipments to the school, running an underground comic book poker ring, milk counterfeiting, whatever that is, and numerous revenge plots against people he felt wronged him, destroying their hopes and dreams in the process and traumatizing them.
These notches are 6 people's lives I've ruined. It was in 6th grade, back when I was a delinquent. I'd always been good at mini golf, and I decided to throw in with the school team. But because of my little discipline problems, I wasn't even allowed to try out. Since they didn't let me try out, I decided to stamp them out. All of them. I challenged the whole team to a match, betting each one of them everything they had. I played the holes to break them. I made it look like the greens broke differently. I swung my arm slow but hit fast and made it look like the windmill was standing still. They didn't know what hit them. I beat them so badly, so completely. It's like there was nothing of them left. I took them out.
But there's nothing better than a good redemption story, and that is the heart of Filmore, both the show and the character. The Cornelius Fillmore we meet in episode 1 is already at the top of his game on the safety patrol, which is ex-middle school's police force, and it's throughout the entire show in his interactions and flashbacks that we learn more about his delinquent past as basically Pablo Escobar.
Hallo, embajada alemana?
Voy a matar a cada hijo de puta alemán que vive en Colombia. Después, les voy a meter bombas en Frankfurt.
He's exceptionally well-rounded, extremely athletic, highly intelligent, well-versed in a variety of topics like cooking, mini golf, jazz, fishing, skateboarding. Not as smart as his partner Ingrid, but has better deductive reasoning, can figure out things and make connections between different clues a little bit faster. Implication for him being well-versed in so many things often connects back to his delinquent past, where he committed crimes of every conceivable nature. He's not overly righteous. While he has a code and fulfills his duties, he knows and understands that life is shades of gray and will speak up for and cut slack to so-called criminals depending on the scenario and the overall goal of an investigation. He has excellent discretion. He believes everyone can be redeemed and that redemption is possible because he himself is a living example of it. But he also makes it clear throughout the show that redemption is a process and not to expect perfection. He's still fallible and continues to make amends throughout the 2 seasons to the people he's hurt in the past. I would argue that no other Disney character has the moral maturity of Cornelius Fillmore. His word is bond. He takes his responsibilities extremely seriously. In one episode, he knew kids were going to steal the answers to a test that was going to be on the Monday. This was a Friday. So he slept in a sleeping bag at the school over the entire weekend alone to foil them. In the same episode, funny enough, this is used as evidence of his incorruptible morals when one of the antagonists says that they should just bribe him to make him leave. And the partner of that criminal says, "This man stayed the night just to stop us. Do you really think that's someone you can bribe?" I think his extreme moral fortitude is actually the result of having walked the wrong path and consciously choosing to change his life to walk the right one. Most people are good at a fear of consequences, which means they're corruptible if those consequences disappear. It's from a position of weakness. Those who have walked the wrong path are successful at it and still choose to change and be good, do it from a position of strength, as their motivations and moral code have been tested. This is exceedingly rare in Disney shows where the majority of characters are just like innately good from birth, like Kim Possible, and Filmore is constantly tested. Like with Penny, Fillmore's former love interest and former criminal associate.
I still have feelings for you. Can't you look the other way? Just this once.
You played me for a sucker, Penny. I'm not going out like that. Not for you. Not anymore. Be at HQ first thing in the morning. Don't make me come get you. And one last thing, baby. That chicken was dry. Real dry.
Funny enough, the episode is called Immune to All But Justice, which is clearly on the nose because Fillmore is immune to that snow bunny puss.
I keep telling you, consciousness over coochie, politics over punani.
Ingrid Third is Fillmore's partner and was part of a worldwide mind-altering program created by the government to brainwash kids into loving goth girls. Oh, you don't believe me? Well, is this a coincidence? Ingrid is a former delinquent like Filmore. She's new to ex-middle school and moved around a lot as a kid. She has a photographic memory like everybody's favorite fake lawyer.
But you look so young.
Well, you know what they say.
Mm-hmm.
True beauty
Black
is
don't
ageless.
crack. That's what I meant to say.
And is voiced by the legendary, freakishly talented, very attractive Tara Strong. Tara, who's voiced virtually every character in existence. Ben 10, Timmy Turner, Bubbles, so on, so on, so on. Tara, if you're watching this,
I love you.
Ingrid can pick locks, is ambidextrous, and is officially the smartest kid at X Middle School, completing every test within minutes. Her catchphrase is crackers.
Crackers.
Which I'm very glad they gave to her and not Filmore. Filmore and Ingrid had a great working relationship from the beginning, but didn't become or arguably recognize each other as friends until mid-first season, which had great character development and relationship building that echoes both relationships between classmates as a kid and relationships with colleagues as an adult. I mean, not every person you sit beside in class or work alongside becomes a real friend. Actually, in my experience, it's quite rare. Then again, I've had the same few friends for close to 20 years, so what do I really know? Junior Commissioner Vallejo is the typical police commissioner trope, likes fishing, a little on the hefty side, but cares about his people and the law. Serious, under a lot of pressure from Principal Folsom to keep costs down and wrap up cases quickly, but he always tries to back his people up. His catchphrase is yelling, "Filmore!" Which is why the show's actual title has an exclamation mark in it. All in all, he sounds like he's married in his 40s with a lot of mouths to feed. Now, adults in the show are virtually non-existent with a few notable exceptions. Principal Dawn S. Folsom is Commissioner Vallejo's boss and acts as the Safety Patrol's mayor or district attorney. Constantly threatens to turn the Safety Patrol office into various other spaces, yoga studios, tap dance studios if they don't solve the case within a set time frame. Tough customer, but not a bad person. She really just wants the school to run like a well-oiled machine, and you know, sometimes that involves a lot of yelling.
Silence! We weren't talking.
One thing I really liked about her character while I was watching is she very often gives Filmore, Ingrid, and the Safety Patrol the credit they deserve both publicly and privately. Which, if you're watching as an adult, you know it's exceedingly rare in a workplace for your boss to just give you credit and not take that credit for themselves, which shows that she does care about the kids and cares about their well-being. There's actually an episode where a group of kids gets in trouble for committing crimes to pay for the surgery of an animal that lives at the school. Even though they get punished at the end of the episode, she actually comes out of pocket to pay for that dog surgery.
Ebenezer's hips. Had to be you who paid for him. You were the only other one who knew about it.
Try again, Filmore. I thought you were supposed to be a detective or something.
Anyway, I just wanted to thank you for Eb and how you handled those kids from Metal Shop.
Those kids are going to be welding and soldering this school till Tisha B'Av. You tell people I'm going soft on them and you're going to be joining them. And if you imply again that I paid for that dog's dysplasia surgery...
It's all good. I'm outie. But you sure know how to talk the talk. Peace.
She's not a bad person. One has to wonder though, why any 40-year-old constantly needs 12-year-old children in orange sashes to solve her problems in the first place.
You hear that? That's how it's been since the answer sheets got stolen. I hear it in my sleep. I add milk to my crisp rice cereal, and it sounds like my phone!
Some things I really liked about the show. First off, it pays surprisingly great attention to detail. For example, Ingrid mentions very briefly in one episode that she builds these little fighting robots and they show it for a second. 2 episodes later, she uses that same robot in a notable chase scene to catch a delinquent. In season 2, Filmore and Ingrid started using their safety sashes as lassos to catch suspects and as grappling hooks to like swing off trees. Might be a way to show improvement in their skills in passing time because you don't really see that in season 1. There's almost no actual physical fights, just chase scenes and sometimes grabs, though one episode in particular stood out because the suspect kicked and elbowed Filmore while they were on a boat racing over a lake, which is kind of crazy but kind of cool. And the chase scenes themselves are incredibly creative and probably one of my favorite parts of the show. I know I made fun of like why are they always running, but at the same time I want them to run because that's half the show, is them running and seeing how Ingrid and Filmore are going to catch them. And without that, the show loses a lot of its creativity. And I don't know how they choreograph these chase scenes or who came up with the idea for that, but they work really well and they're extremely creative, going off ramps and volcanoes and drains and swimming pools. It's very entertaining. One of the weaknesses of the show in season 1 is that there is no overarching plot. There's no recurring villains or underground plot that's driving all the crime at X middle school. While there is some good relationship development between Ingrid and Filmore, episodes are mostly self-contained, and I feel like that's a missed opportunity. If it turned out that there was an individual who they kind of hinted from the earlier episodes that it turns out he's driving a lot of the crime at the school, that might have been a very interesting plot point. Though at the same time, the show goes to great lengths to show that these kids who are quote unquote committing these crimes, they do so for reasons that aren't related necessarily to just greed. Oftentimes they have an ulterior motive, which isn't bad, and so they're committing the crime in order to accomplish that, but they're not bad people. And so if it was that there was some underground ring that was controlling all of this, it would take away from the self-determinism that each of these characters have and the path they go through towards being redeemed and the reasons that they actually commit these crimes in the first place. So I think it could go either way, but it does make it a bit repetitive watching it again as an adult, going from episode to episode with nothing linking back to previous episodes. That being said, a caveat to this is season 2, which while the show does delve into Fillmore's delinquent past frequently in both seasons, season 2 in particular really does go into his past deeper, testing his ethical values more now as a safety patroller. In episode 17, when Filmore visits his former partner Wayne Liggett in the South, he references Wayne's letters, which connects to an episode from season 1. Wayne is Fillmore's former partner from X Middle School who moved to, I think, Texas. Fillmore basically goes down there to help him solve a crime. There are also many scenes with background characters that were main characters in previous episodes or antagonists that you see in the background of the current episode scenes. And that might simply be because they didn't want to have to create new models all the time, but I think it's a nice touch that they show that X's community still exists. These kids still exist in the school even after these things have happened. They are around and walking free, which shows that maybe Filmore and Ingrid's efforts to help to redeem them actually are making a difference. There's actually a specific episode where Ingrid and Filmore go to detention to try to convince this bully to help them with an investigation. And in detention are two previous antagonists from season 1, because this is happening in season 2. Malika, who is the head of the Red Robins, which is basically like a gang in the school. Parnassus, which was this kid that tried to sabotage Ingrid Third and get her expelled. And you see them both sitting there in the detention in the background, which I think was a very nice touch to show that they're not going anywhere. And they were actually two of the rare cases that they wouldn't be redeemed. It would be very difficult to redeem their characters based on the way those episodes ended. They didn't see themselves as doing anything wrong. I think Parnassus promised to get back at Ingrid one day. So it makes sense that he's still in detention. Some episodes of note, which I think were pretty meaningful or just plain bizarre. Episode 7, there's a kid named Everett. He has the oldest Tamagotchi in the country and he's going to be featured on this national television program. And this is a huge deal for the school as the interview is taking place there. However, with days to go until the program releases, his house is broken into and the Tamagotchi is stolen. So Filmore and Ingrid investigate while Everett is consoled by his neighbor Lorraine, as he has no other friends and spends all his time feeding and taking care of this Tamagotchi. He doesn't want to die. Well, spoilers. It turns out Lorraine, that neighbor, is the one who stole it. Now, why did she do this? So he would have no choice but to rely on her for support and eventually be her boyfriend. The crazy part is after all this, Ingrid tells Everett he should forgive Lorraine because Lorraine is his true friend. Let me be very clear here. Lorraine is not Everett's true friend. Lorraine is a liar. She's a thief and a criminal trespasser who stole a boy's most prized possession to manipulate him. She is basically Joe Goldberg Jr. The crazy part is she still got him in the end. And you're still single. Season 1, episode 8 is one of my favorite episodes. It's about Fillmore's former partner, Wayne Liggett. He's the one who actually helped to rehabilitate Filmore when he was a delinquent. Reading a letter from him about how he met and became partners with Ingrid, Wayne had moved to Texas, and the episode has a lot of really relatable moments. It covers Ingrid moving to the school and the struggle with being the new kid, which, you know, for me, I moved around a lot as a kid, and so that really resonated with me, and not judging appearances, as Ingrid is often described in the show as being and looking different, which makes it easy to scapegoat people.
Well, at least I'm not some black dress wearing weirdo person freak goober loser.
Sometimes you'll just have haters because you exist and you're you. If you're watching this, you probably know what I'm talking about. And so in the episode, Ingrid wanted to take the easy route and just let the school expel her because she was tired of being judged everywhere she went. The recurring lesson of this episode in particular was that sometimes when things are really tough and you feel alone, if just one person shows you kindness or believes in you, it can change the trajectory of your entire life, which Filmore was for her.
We had him dead to rights, Ingrid.
You didn't bust him, but you did beat him, Filmore. 'Cause, and I don't know how, you got me to stick around.
This doesn't necessarily change as an adult, and oftentimes it's amplified. Be kind, give people a chance, and you never know the impact it'll have down the road on somebody. Now, I mentioned earlier some of the dope values and lessons from Filmore. Lessons like the redemption, forgiveness, rehabilitation. There are a lot of episodes with Filmore being confronted by people in his past that don't believe he's changed, and how treating someone a certain way will reinforce that behavior. There's a teacher that calls Filmore a lost cause and basically says that bad eggs don't go good. Well, I have some personal experience with that growing up as well. Ingrid being judged on her delinquent past by Parnassus, though he was trying to frame her out of jealousy due to her academic prowess, threatening him, as well as in episode 24 with repeat character Augie Sampson, who's actually voiced by Frankie Muniz from Malcolm in the Middle, who's a con Filmore helps to protect and helps rehabilitate. Other lessons that the show covers: dealing with unexpected catastrophes and dealing with grief. One episode, Filmore loses his fish, Thelonious, and that episode, he has to learn how to let go of things that you've lost. There's a quote from that episode that says, "One must say goodbye before anything becomes good again." And I thought that was super deep for a show made for 12-year-olds. They talk about honoring your commitments and doing what's right, tackling issues in the educational microcosm too, like how standardized tests are a poor way to judge intelligence or self-worth, confronting corruption within trusted organizations that goes all the way to the top, especially when you're a part of the organization, and looking the other way to keep your job even when it's against your moral code, which happens in the episode when Filmore goes down to visit his partner Wayne in Texas. And the show was very intentional on Filmore not regularly associating with former associates from when he was delinquent, and this was definitely intentional on the show creators' part, because you've got to let those people and those things go if you want to change, otherwise they'll pull you back in. You got to switch up your social circle, your circumstances, and resist any temptation to go back into that life, or else you'll likely go back into that life. You're going to end up violating your morals one way or another. Even if you're not doing it, you're going to protect the people who are, because you don't want to rat on them. And at the end of the day, oil and water don't mix. Doesn't mean that you wish them badly. You hope they eat, just not at your table. The show covers how society often reinforces criminal behavior through isolation. Though not deliberately discussed in the show, it's obvious that the creators wanted to show how hard it is to change after going down the wrong path. Filmore was prevented from joining certain clubs and teams that he excelled at because of his delinquent background, which prevented him from changing, as he had no purpose outside of crime. Much like the people who get out of prison and can't get employed, if they put it on their resume, they will never get an interview. And if they don't put it on their resume and they're caught, they get fired immediately. So what behavior is being incentivized here? Obviously the behavior to lie, because these people oftentimes have families, responsibilities, and people that they need to take care of. And so they're going to do what it takes to do that. And if they can't get a job, they go back to committing crimes because that's the only option they feel like they have in order to make money. Oftentimes, the episode's antagonist serves as a reflection or a foil to Filmore, highlighting his previous delinquent behavior and subsequent change. He doesn't always want to help certain types of criminals, and like Ingrid said in season 2, when he was trying to basically not help a bully, she said, look, we don't get to choose who we help or protect. If somebody needs protection, somebody needs protection, and if we don't protect them, we're basically robbing them of their chance to change and have redemption, which I think is, again, very deep for a children's show. The show made me emotional at certain points, just reflecting on my own childhood, both at the time long ago when I first watched the show and at the messaging. And so it might sound stupid, but I wore glasses as a kid. I was pretty blind, and every form of media showed black kids with glasses as just absolute nerds and targets for bullying, whether it's Steve Urkel or Jordan from the Bernie Mac show. Filmore was the first black character with glasses I had ever seen that was athletic, smart, moral, funny, and just super smooth. And it changed my 11-year-old perspective of the world positively just a bit. And shows with black main characters that weren't caricatures or negative stereotypes, but still had strong black culture connections was non-existent at the time. Seriously, like we had Static Shock, we had Filmore, we had Green Lantern from Justice League, and the Proud Family was a little bit later on, but Filmore will always hold a special place in my heart for that as well. You know, it's nice to see someone who looks like you be positively represented in media. The show has 26 episodes, got 2 seasons. It starts very strong, gets more creative and tackles more of the complex topics steadily, with a big inflection point in how good it is, I would say at episode 8. After Filmore and Ingrid really become friends mid-first season, the show improves a lot and the issues that they tackle improve a lot as well. The show being canceled after 2 seasons is a real shame. I think that they were just starting to hit their stride at the end of season 2 and show the developing maturity of the characters from episode 1 all the way to episode 26. Apparently, the proposed episodes for season 3 would have seen the short return of Fillmore's ex-partner, Wayne Leggett. Wayne would have helped Fillmore solve a case while Ingrid was ill, and at the end of the episode, Wayne would tell Fillmore that although they will always be best friends, they could no longer be partners, as Wayne believes Fillmore has finally found a great one in Third. One episode was to focus on how Vallejo joined the safety patrol in the first place. It was proposed that his ex-partner Malika, who was the leader of the Red Robin gang, and Frank were involved. An episode was going to be dedicated to Ingrid's past, finally finding out the reason for her mother's absence. The episode was going to see Ingrid as a true culprit of a crime, though her actions are stopped by Filmore. And then a 2-part finale was proposed with the X-Safety Patrol taking down the underground black market within X. During the episodes, Ingrid would be offered a transfer to high school due to her intelligence. Ingrid and Filmore were to have a short falling out over the matter until Filmore finally gives Ingrid the encouragement to take the position. However, the arrangement was set up by the boy who ran the underground ring and encouraged Folsom to set the arrangement so that Third and Filmore would be separated.
No. Wait.
The two eventually take down the whole operation, and Folsom offers Ingrid the true chance to transfer. Filmore tells her to take it and leaves before he hears Ingrid's decision. Stating to Vallejo he wants to fly solo, similar to his actions in the first episode, Filmore would start investigating into another case. When he runs out of leads, Ingrid reveals herself and the answer he was looking for. She reveals she turned down Folsom's offer on the account that, though she is a brilliant person on her own, she thought she was much better when she was working with Filmore. The end was going to be them going after the perp. I watched this show over 20 years ago and have probably watched thousands of other shows since then, and I still remembered some of the episodes while rewatching. That is the mark of a fantastic series. This show deserves a reboot or continuation, period. The lessons are timeless, the humor is still great. It might be difficult with Orlando Brown's current situation. But anything is possible. This is simply one of the best Disney animated shows of all time. Now, if you've gotten this far in the video and you haven't watched this show, then drop a like here and click off immediately to go watch it. It's on YouTube, seriously. What are you still doing here? And if you're a fossil and reminiscing on your glory days prior to decomposition, sub up fam, we old heads gotta stick together. This is my first video like this and I'll be re-upping on my supply of nostalgia for y'all every month. I appreciate everyone who's watched this. I hope you enjoyed it. Project number 1 of Project Brian, complete.